Well, I mean, now that it's Halloween, I thought I'd take it upon myself to share this crazy fucking Halloween I had driving Uber last year. Holy shit. Just like the amount of fuckery that I was able to witness was amazing, right? Like humans are truly fucking hilarious, right? So anyways, um and Halloween was on a Saturday. Wait, was it? Was this last year? No, it was two years ago, I guess. Halloween was on a fucking Saturday, so already it was gonna be fucking crazy. My favorite part about Halloween is watching drunk people fight in costumes. I think it's fucking hilarious. Like, I don't know, like how the fuck can you be angry when when you're dressed as Lil Bo Peep or like a nun or like I don't know, like fucking Luigi or some shit. Like, but I took a train to the city. Like, I remember a couple years ago. Like, this fight broke out between Batman and this surgeon, and, like, I just remember like Batman just like hit the kid, and I remember it like so crystal clear. Like, punched him in like the side of the face. I remember hearing the sound of his fist making contact with the kid's cheek, and he punched him so hard, like the surgeon kid was wearing a mask, like a typical COVID mask, and like Batman hit him so fucking hard that his mask went flying into the aisle, into the aisle of the train, and it landed right in front of me. And I just like I don't know, like I think it's so hilarious watching people fight or just get angry in costumes. It's such what's it, like a juxtaposition or contradiction, whatever it's called. But anyways, so back to my Uber. Man, Halloween. Okay, so like you want to Uber on holiday, driving Uber on Halloween, New Year's, Christmas Eve, Thanksgiving Eve. Those are the fucking days that you want, right? You want those fucking days. So there was it was a typical weekend. I had the weekend incentive for Uber. It was like crazy incentive. Like it was like 50 rides for like an extra like 250, right? Or whatever. So dude, that was the craziest, like the longest like Uber trip day I've ever fucking had. I got in my car to start driving and picking people up around like 12 p.m. I did not get out of my car until 7, 8 a.m. the next fucking day. Like, I made $800 from 12 p.m. to 7:30 the next day. And I just made the fucking incentive. So it was fucking crazy. I was really calling it close with that. But anyways, so yeah, I made a lot. That was the most I ever made in one Uber sitting. But it's just my favorite part about driving Uber is just all the human interactions you get to have, like just witnessing humanity kind of at its worst. Like Uber kind of brings out the worst in people, or just the most exaggerated, obnoxious versions of people. There's whole videos I can make on that just alone. Just like, that's why I love Uber. That's why I love driving Uber, is because you just get a front seat at just the fuckery of humans. Like you really just get to witness just so much like, bullshit that it's so entertaining. It's like it's better than watching TV. So and especially on holidays, people are just, at their fucking worst, right? So where do I even start? What even happened first? I'm really trying to like jog my memory here. Yeah, I saw a lot of fucking I did over 50 rides in one fucking night, dude. I was so fucked up the next day from doing that. I was so burnt out, dude. Doing 50 rides in a fucking like in a day, like that's fucking insane. Like it's hard to do 50 rides in a weekend, but like to get in I was so fixated on just getting this incentive. It was so crazy. But like the first incident I think I had, let's see. Well, to summarize what happened in that night, there was a guy getting sucked off by his girl in my back seat. There was that guy. There was the two guys I dropped off at Cherry Bombs. Cherry Bombs is like a swingers club in Long Island. Then there was the guy dressed as a nurse that got stuck on his mailbox. And then there was two girls that I met who had a half pipe in their backyard, a mini ramp half pipe that I ended up going and skating on. It was a cool night. It was a cool fucking night. It was a really sick night. And so yeah, I guess I'll start. I mean, there was one kid, right? He was dressed in a unicorn like onesie. And he gets in and he was like a cool kid. Like, you know, like I love, like, I always vibe out with people, or just, you know, we start bullshitting, whatever. And like, I don't know what prompted this, but he's just like telling me how his night went. And he's like, yeah, you know, when like I get drunk, like I just want to get fucking just decked in the fucking face. And I was like, you know what? Like, I've had a really stressful night. I could, like, you know, use some like tension relief. And this was like by like I had to be like 2 by now. You know, I was just getting started. Like 2 a.m. was like just getting started. And I was like, fuck, I've really had a long day. And I'm like, do you want to do it? Like, I mean, I'll do it for you. Like, I'll punch you. Like, we could film it. It'll be funny. And he's just like, would you do that for real? I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm like, you're not gonna sue me or anything. Like, he didn't seem like that type. And so I'm like, let's do it. Like, do you want to do it? Like, let's do it. He's like, yeah. And he's getting all like hyped up and shit. And like, he was just getting so excited. And I was starting to get excited the closer we got to his house, because I'm like, oh my God, like, I never like got to voluntarily punch someone in the face. Like, that's hilarious. Like, of course, like, who would pass that up, right? Like, I don't know, especially after a long, stressful day, you get to like sock somebody. And I thought it'd be fucking hilarious to punch him in the face in his fucking unicorn onesie. He had like the fucking, you know, horns coming out. So I thought it'd be fucking hilarious. Like, you know, so I figured, like, yo, like, I punch him hard enough, like, I don't know, like, you'll see his like unicorn shit like fly or whatever. So there was that, right? So like, we get to the kid's house and he's like, yo, hold on, like, let me go get my girlfriend to like film. And I was like, oh no. I'm like, why? Like, cause I knew like she would get pissed off, right? So then she comes out, she's like, no, we're not doing this again. We're not doing this. She's like, I forgot what was that kid's name? I don't know. It was like Ethan or something, like Evan or something. She's like, no, Evan, we're not doing this again. And well, I didn't get to punch him. I was so hyped. Like, we were all ready. He was ready. I was ready. Like, it was just like, you know, his girlfriend came out and, you know, she was all pissed off, and like, it was her house, and like, they were just all confused as to like, what is happening. They're like, who is this strange guy like that just dropped you off, is like gonna punch you in the face on the lawn? I don't know. That's fucking hilarious. I don't know. Maybe one day we'll get a second stab at it, but that was pretty funny. Like, but he's like, babe, come on, be funny, and that was it. So then there was that kid, and then right after him, I picked up like this. Oh my God, this guy was like 6'5". Like, he had to be like fucking 6'5", 6'7", like tallest fucking Ecuadorian man I've ever seen in my life. And he gets in the car, and he's dressed as a nurse. And off the rip, I thought it was fucking hilarious. Dude, he gets in, he just opens the door, and he just fucking face plants in the back of my seat. Like, that's like, he didn't even say hello. It didn't, nothing. Just, he opens the door and just, but like, I just hear like in my back seat. I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I look back, and the guy is he's literally face planted just like on my back seat. Just, his legs are all like, you know, cramped up. Like, it's a fucking Wrangler. There's no room. You can't like really lay down in a Wrangler. Like, and the guy was fucking tall as fuck. And like, I just hear like the clanking of his stethoscope and shit, and his stethoscope is like wrapped around his neck and shit, and he's got like some plastic bag. And I'm just like, all right, like whatever. I guess this is what the ride is gonna be. I'm like, yo, honestly, I really love passengers that just get in and go to sleep because it's like there's no pressure, right? There's no pressure of like somebody watching you, like watching your fucking driving skills or whatever. Yeah, and like it's better if they just get in, just go to fucking sleep, right? It's just no pressure to interact or socialize. But anyways, so we get to the guy's destination, and like I'm like, yo, like he was out fucking cold. I'm like, yo, you're here, and then he just didn't say a word again. Just gets up, opens the door, walks around. Like, okay, so I'm parked. And then, like, his house is over here. It's, like, to the right. And he gets out this way. He goes out the left door, walks around the back of my car. I'm doing my phone for, like, the next ride. Like, all I hear against the right side of my car, I'm, like, looking at my phone. I was, like, distracted. I just hear on the right side of my car, like, bam! Like, fucking just, like... I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I look over. It was his body. Like, he fell back into the car, like his body like hit the right side of my car, just boom, like that, right? And the thing that was so fucking hilarious is he bounces off of it because the mailbox, it was like one of those wooden posts in the dirt and the grass and a fucking classic mailbox. He bounces off my car and then he gets stuck on his mailbox. Like the guy was so tall that the mailbox was like in his stomach, right? So he bounces off. Like, I'll show you. Oh, fuck. Oh, there goes my fucking phone. So he bounces off the car. So like, bam, bounces off the car. And then his mailbox was like right here. And I just I look to the right out the window. I'm like, what the fuck? Bro, the guy was stuck over his mailbox like this. Like the mailbox was here and he was like slumped over it. Like he looked like a fucking wet noodle. He looked like he had no bones. The mailbox was it was in his gut, and he was in the shape of a fucking horseshoe, just slumped over it. And he was stuck like that. And I start to like pull away. I'm like looking back as I'm like slowly pulling away, and he's just still and his stethoscope and shit is just still like dangling, and he's got his pet. Dude, that was the funniest fucking thing I ever saw in my life. And I'm like, what do I do? Like, what do I go scrape him off his mailbox? And dude was like out of a fucking movie, man. And like eventually he got up and he stumbled his way into the house. But like, my God, that was fucking so funny, dude. Like just seeing his body contorted in that position, just wow. And then there was like somewhere in Mastic Beach, it was like some couple, and like his girlfriend was pretty hot, and I think she was sucking him off. I'm not sure, but like I don't know. I just like he started making remarks like, oh no, like, oh, my girlfriend, I told her to shut up or something. I don't know what he said, but he said something in like, oh, whenever I want my girlfriend to shut up, I just have her suck my dick. But then he said that, and then like 2 minutes into the ride, I hear like a sucking noise. Like I hear like blowjob going on behind me. And I hear her laughing. So I heard like giggling, and like you can sense like when somebody's doing something like in the same room as you and like they're, like behind your back or whatever, it's like you can sense their energy. You could sense like they know they're doing something, like it's like projecting onto you, like you can kind of feel it. And that's how I felt. Like I heard like sucking noises. I heard her laughing. I heard him kind of laughing, and just like again at that point I was so tired. Like you have to understand, when shit like this happens, you're so fatigued and you're just so over it that you don't care. It's just like especially when you have an incentive going on, you're just like, okay, you're number 38. Okay, get out. Okay, cool. Number 39. Okay, number 4. It's like, yeah, whatever. Okay, cool. Get sucked off my backseat, just whatever. And then get out. And then it's just like, you just want the next number. And if I like stop and like, look in my backseat and like, I don't know, like I try to address the situation, like I'm just using too much energy at that point. It's like energy is scarce and it's like you just got to keep going. It's just so I don't know. Sounded like he was being sucked off. He was making remarks like he was getting sucked off. She was laughing like she was sucking him off. He was giggling like he was getting sucked off. So I guess he was getting sucked off. Anyways, so next story. So then I pick up this really it was like a really fucking nice neighbor. Where the fuck? It's somewhere in Bethpage or something. Really nice mansion house, whatever. And like it was this old man, but he was very fit. Like he was a very fit old man. And he gets in and, he's just talking. He's telling me that like he has like over 1 million shares in Apple and Amazon from the 70s. I'm like, holy shit. He's like, oh yeah, this is just my Long Island spot. Like I have a spot in the city, whatever. And so, like, as we're talking, he's, like, massaging me. Like, he's, like, starting to, like, come over my shoulder. And he's starting to tell me, like, he's like, honestly, bro, that shit felt so fucking good. Like, I was so tired, bro. That shit felt so good that he was, like, massaging me. And, like, again, it's just, like, your inhibitions are pretty, like, low at this point when you're, like, 40 rides deep and it's fucking, it's already 3 a.m., So, anyways, we get to his destination, and like I see that he's going to fucking Cherry Bombs, or what the fuck's the other place? Not Cherry Bombs. Yeah, Cherry Bombs. He's going to Cherry Bombs, and I was just like, oh, I'm like, oh, you're going to here, huh? Like just making a joke, and he's like, yeah, well maybe you can come back later, and he's massaging me. Before he gets out, he reaches over and he. Like, again, like, I click the ride, like, complete the ride. I get another ride request. So I'm looking at my phone. I feel like him coming over. He comes over the back seat, and he's like, and he puckers up. And I just turn, and I see this guy's face, like, out of the darkness of my fucking car. And he kisses me on the cheek and just gets out. And that was it. He didn't tip me, nothing. After telling me how rich he was and whatever, and all these millions he's made, didn't tip me, just kisses me. So I kept going. So I kept on going. And then, I ended up, one thing I noticed, okay, so I pick up these 2 girls, and one thing I always notice, that like it's a weird phenomenon. It's like a contradiction thing that happens. Like, the people who get in right away and right off the rip, we kind of vibe. Those are people I never really talk to afterwards. Like after the rides, like they get in, they're like, hey, Tony, blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's cool. I love music, blah, blah, blah. And we just kind of get into it, right? But like those are the people I never end up like seeing or hearing from or making friends with like after the rides. It's always the people that get in and they're quiet for like the whole ride, right? And then as soon as we get to their destination, we kind of start talking, or like right as the ride is about to end, some conversation sparks up. Those are the people that I always end up like making friends with afterwards. So that happened, and I pick up these 2 girls. And it's just like, I don't know, when you're driving women late at night, it's like what does suck about Uber is that you get a lot of white knights. You get a lot, because you're a male driver and you're driving late and there's drunk women around and you're picking up drunk women and just, automatically you're kind of framed as this predator. And it's like rightfully so, for sure. Like, I get it, but it's like, it does do something to you psychologically, right? It does have a psychological effect on you. That, knowing that, like, these girls are getting in your car and, like, they're already on edge and, like, you could feel them. Well, if you're somebody who is intuitive and has a conscience or is just aware of other people's emotions, like, yeah, it can be, like, a little uncomfortable. But, like, I get it. What was I even saying? So like, yeah, no, it was just like kind of one of those awkward rides until we got to like their house. And like, I remember like one of them looks in my trunk because I have all my skateboards on my trunk. She's like, "Oh, you skate?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I skate." She's like, "Oh, the house I just moved into has a half pipe in the back." I'm like, "What?" Um, and it was true. I'm like, "All right, well, let's go." And it was like 4 a.m. by this time. I'm like, "Fuck it, I could use a break." And yeah, sure as shit, she had there was a half pipe in the backyard, and I ended up skating it. And that was pretty cool. You know, it's like that's the things I love about Uber is just like you never know where the wind is gonna take you. Like you never know what situation you're gonna find yourself in. You know, I end up meeting people like that all the time. It's just like they're like going somewhere or whatever. They're like, Tony, come chill with us. And then I end up just going and fucking hanging out with some random people. You know, you get a lot of like perks that way. Like I don't know, you'll get like some free food or some shit or fucking hot dogs at a bar. And it's just cool. It's just like I like to treat Uber as like a human experience, like a human experiment, right? I like to see Uber as like I'm in this Jeep, I'm on safari, and it's like there's this crazy museum, this zoo of humans around me, and I'm traveling through it. That's how I like to see Uber. It's like I like to see myself as like I'm dropped on this planet and I am just on safari observing humans and their and all of their behavior. So Uber is always a fucking trip. You know, I have a lot more stories than that, but that was like the crazy Halloween I had. I'm sure I'm gonna watch this back and like I'm gonna be furious that I left a really good story out. Um, But yeah, no, I've done over 3,000 rides. Like I have so many stories. I've learned so much like about human behavior and just pattern recognition and just watching how people behave and just it's really fucking interesting. I really wish like everybody could be an Uber driver and just experience what it's like to socialize like that. So at a certain point, Uber became my social life because like I'm just always working. I'm always here in the studio. I'm always there. I'm always wherever. So it's like Uber is just kind of like this dice game where it's just like you roll the dice and you see where you end up, right? Uh, so yeah, that was that was Halloween. Oh fuck! Wait, there was the guy that hit his girlfriend in my backseat. There was that. It was like a 5 minute ride in Port Jeff, and this dude was fucking pissed off and like just screaming at his girlfriend. And we get down the block and like yeah, like he hits her, kind of like he hits like the seat. I don't know, but there was that. Like I said, it's like you kind of just get tunnel vision because there's so many people coming and going, and some of the rides are like 3 minutes, or some of the rides are down the block, or some of the rides are fucking 30 minutes. And at a certain point, like you just don't even know, like, at a certain point, like I got so sleep deprived and was like so delirious that like I didn't know if anybody was in my backseat or not. Like I didn't even check. It was just like weird. It's like it all becomes a blur, right? So yeah, dude, I got the incentive and like it was fucking 8 a.m. the next day, bro. It was like I remember just like, whoa, how the fuck did I do that? Like I could never fucking do that shit again. I don't know. I was eating a lot of Blaze pizza at the time too. So fucking gross. But yeah, that's the first Uber stories I have. I figure since it's Halloween. Um Yeah, I haven't done Uber since Thanksgiving. I want to get back into it this year and just see what more happens. Okay. Well, let me know. Let me know what like your Uber experiences are. That'd be fucking hilarious. I want to have like a chat with like other Uber drivers or passengers. But okay. Love you. See you. Bye.